passion. So I'll start, and Lauren will close us.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so a couple things that I'm passionate about. First one is travel. I absolutely love getting to travel outside of the country. I love domestic travel too, but I love more than that, visiting different cultures and seeing how God made each culture different and yet in his own image. To me, that's just remarkable, and it's just an adventure. I love it, and I would travel somewhere new every other week if I could do that for the rest of my life. I would, and if I had the money to do it. My second passion, I would say, is the written word. We were chatting a little bit about this earlier, but I studied writing here, and I absolutely love taking a written piece of work and polishing it up for writers who want to get books published, or students who are doing their dissertations. And I've done a few of those, and I've helped authors get their books published, and it's such an awesome feeling to be able to help in that process. But I also love creating the written word too. I love language, and so I get to use that here in the admissions office, and I also have my own freelance business outside of Indiana Wesleyan, and I'm just so fulfilled and overjoyed at those things. And so that's what makes me happy. What about you guys? We would love to hear it, even if it's just something brief. We would love to have you share. So we will just, Erica, let's start in the back with you.
Snake from the back. So you get to wait a minute, Shelby.
Give you a minute to think about it.
Well,
Thoughts?
I find photography interesting,
Yeah.
and I enjoy fitness and nutrition.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
See, that wasn't too hard. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, we'll snake our way back up here with Caroline.
I really like sports, and I like working with children, so
Okay.
I coached a couple like volleyball teams for softball, and I did a volleyball team.
Okay.
Just really like working with kids.
That's awesome.
What age ranges? Anything? Any ranges?
We did like
8 and 10.
Okay. And you really enjoyed that age? Bless you. Very good. All right.
All right,
Wonderful.
Shelby.
And Shelby, any thoughts?
kind of like she said about photography.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'll mention that.
And I like psychology because I like learning how the brain works.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll talk about that in a second.
Said that earlier about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for me, I would say, and my parents would say this too, from the moment I was teeny tiny with my curls bopping all over the house, I loved people. I loved to make people smile, and I loved to know who people were. And that's developed throughout my life. So I came to college and I declared psychology as a major, and I thought, okay, this is perfect. Like, I love the brain. I love human beings and how we tick and how we work. And I realized after I got started that I really wanted to see people change and grow. So I added addictions counseling because it was the one counseling major we had available at the time. And I thought, you know, I don't really have a connection with addiction in my own life. I don't really have a lot of family that have a connection with addiction. But I'm going to do this, and I'm going to see what happens. And it was the most amazing thing in the world. God really prepared me for a lot of different things. I've met people since then who I have much more compassion for than I ever would have to begin with. So I would say, in a nutshell, my passion is watching people go from surviving in their lives to truly thriving in their lives. That's something that just makes me, I even get goosebumps when I talk about it. It's so exciting to me to watch people grow and not be stagnant in their lives. And it's really cool. My husband's actually studying to be a counselor. So someday we want to open a clinic and help people just work through their own issues. So that's my passion, and it grew. You know, when I was sitting, not necessarily in this exact spot because we've remodeled, but when I was here in admissions, somebody asked me that question, and I was like, oh, I don't know, people? I don't know. But then, you know, over the last several years of my life, it's really grown and developed. So thank you for asking. And that'll happen for you guys too. It constantly changes. Do you want to touch this?
Yeah, so we have a few questions that we're going to ask you students, but we want to talk about this idea of purpose and passion. And so Pastor T.D. Jake says, if you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passions, or your passions can lead you right into your purpose. And we really believe that this is true. A lot of times, and we'll talk about this, but a lot of times the world might tell us, oh, well, you need to get a job that is going to help you make money more than you need to just do what you want to do and what you love to do. And yeah, money, of course, is an important tool that helps us survive and provide for our basic needs. Of course it is. But we still truly believe that God has given us passions and unique gifts and skills that He can use through us for the kingdom of God to impact the world. And we want to help you discover what your passions are so you can love what you do and serve Christ through that. Because why not? Like, who wouldn't want to love what they do, right? So we believe this, and we hope that your passions can help inform what you might want to study and then do later on in life.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think in discovering what your passions are, so you guys just told us, some things that you're passionate about, those oftentimes inform what you decide to go to college for. So I have a couple of questions for you. Let's see if I can get it to track me. My first two are incredibly common. The last one, not so much. The first one is probably something you've been asked a million times. It's about your major. So what do you guys want to major in? I'll start here with Caroline. What do you want to major in when you come to school?
I'm going to take like natural science classes because I want to be an optometrist.
Okay, that is awesome. All right, awesome. Good deal. Shelby?
I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
That's entirely okay.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely that too.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Thoughts, Erica?
I'm not exactly sure, but I've been thinking about maybe exercise science.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that's a big question. I'm sure, like I said, you guys have been asked that before. You've thought about it, mulled it over, maybe aren't 100% sure, which is completely fine and totally normal. But that's a big one. So my second question is similar, but very different. Like, you guys might actually have an answer to this one a little bit more, but have you guys been asked what you want your career to be? Maybe?
Has anyone asked you that?
What do you think, Shelby?
Not really.
It's very similar, right? Very similar to major. Okay, I don't know. How about you, Erica?
I'm not sure.
Okay, yep. Optometry.
And that's okay. We
Yeah.
get that a lot. Sometimes you don't know.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you do. That's
We-
entirely okay.
We actually have the majority of our students that come in don't know, which
Yeah,
is
that's
so
true.
cool because we have a lot of services that Suzanne is going to talk about that really help you discover what you're going to be good at. It's awesome, instead of like coming in and not knowing and then changing 5 times, if you come in and do this program, it'll help you not have to change so many times so that you do know, like, oh, this is what I'm good at. This is what God's put on my heart. Let's put those together and make it into an actual viable vocation. So my next question, which, like I said, this is the big one that you've probably not been asked as many times. It's this one here. What has God called you to do with your life? Have you guys been asked that question before? Just a
Show of
nod
hands. Have you
or
been
show of
asked?
hand.
No?
This is
Erica?
the one.
Not exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I ask this question, it's the one that most people are like, no, I've never really been asked that before. But this is so important, because I'm sure in your lives, parents, you may have changed your career path at least once. Maybe twice, maybe 3 times. My dad changed his career path when I was 16. Totally threw my family for a loop, but it was a wonderful growing experience. This, though, stayed the same. Even though he went from IT to film, which is a huge difference, this was the same. He wanted to help people. He wanted to help people tell their stories. That's what's so cool about this. So I want you guys to take this with you as you walk through the rest of your day. And this is a big one I want you to mull over because you're going to have to wrestle with this probably throughout your lives. And I love to be the first one to say, okay, let's think about this. Because this is really important for our students. And this is really what Indiana Wesleyan is passionate about, is helping students figure out exactly what it is that God has called you to do. And Suzanne is going to talk about the options for students to really figure out what this is.
Yeah. So we have an office here on campus. It's called our Life Calling and Integrative Learning Office. It's twofold. We help students with career options for when you graduate, right? But when you're here, we're going to help you also to start to try to answer this question. What has God called me to do? How can I practically get an idea of what the answer to this question might be? So we have a program, and it's called our Life Calling program, through our pre-declared major. that helps students figure out, okay, how am I unique? How did God create me as a unique individual? What gifts do I have? What are my passions? What am I good at? What's my personality type? My strengths? I could go on and on. You get the idea, right? Because you are different, Caroline, than Shelby, and then Erica. Are there going to be some similarities? Of course, but there are certain unique differences in the way that God made each and every one of you. Okay? And we think it's so important to point out the fact that everybody has different strengths. So when I was a student, I actually came in pre-declared. I knew that I loved writing, but I didn't know what to major in because growing up, I had gotten this message from the world saying you have to make money. You have to make money, and if you're a writer, you're not going to make money. And I believed that. So I came in, I said, okay, I'm going to be pre-declared so I can do this pre-declared track and try to figure out what I need to major in because I'm going to this expensive college, college is expensive, I need to figure out what I'm doing here. So I met with a life coach, and we have certified life coaches here in our office. This service is free to students, and they will meet with you anytime throughout your 4 years just to talk and help you figure out what career path you want to take. So I met with a life coach, and he said, well, you love writing. Why aren't you studying writing? And I proceeded to tell him. And he said, well, then what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. I think I want to try maybe a few of these different majors. So I tried classes in 4 different majors. And you want to guess how I felt? I wasn't happy. I was frustrated. I was sad. I thought God didn't have a calling for me. I thought I was wasting my time. I was frustrated with God. And my life coach finally prompted me and said, Susanna, you love the written word. Try a writing class, please. And I said, okay, fine. I will try a writing class, but I'm going to be broke. He said, don't you think that God can provide for you? If he gave you such a passion for the written word, don't you think that he wants you to use that for his kingdom? Do you not believe he can provide for you? And I said, well, if I'm being honest, I really don't have faith in that, but I would like to have faith in that. So I went to this writing class, and I fell in love with it. I was just at home. I was able to let my nerd out, and it was fantastic. It was wonderful. And I said, okay, fine. I feel at home. This is what I'm going to study. And then eventually I discovered leadership and public relations and all these different interests that I had. And I felt like, okay, wow, I took one step of obedience to God, and he opened up all these other possibilities for me. And I'm going to have faith that he will provide for me. And now I have my own freelance business. And I get to help people every day, and it's awesome. So it might not always look the way you think, but I assure you, if you give those passions to God, he will provide for you. And we really believe that, and that's part of why we want to help you figure out what you're passionate about. We want you to love what you do if you want to serve the Lord. But the other side is our career side. So we're going to help students with all the practical things. We're going to help you with resume building. We're going to make sure that you know how to interview well. If you are interested in grad school, we're going to help you with grad school applications. And of course, we're going to help you with internships. Many of you might have a required internship for your major, so whether you want to do that on campus or off campus, we're going to help you find an internship too. And then again, of course, for a career, when you graduate, right, you want to be prepared, and we're going to help you find different job opportunities and get you connected with employers as well. So this office is so important, and it's an awesome resource. So I encourage you, if you have additional questions, feel free to ask us, but wherever you go, whichever colleges you go to visit, ask them if they have a resource like that, because it's very important, right? We don't want to be hired when we graduate. Yeah. So I wanted to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's an awesome office. Every friend I've had that has gone through that office is incredibly satisfied with their college experience, which I think is saying a lot for what they do with their students and help them really.
So, what is your passion? Anyone wants to share?
Get started.
All right.
My passion is to help people and make them smile just because it makes me feel better.
Do you like doing that in any specific ways? Are there any avenues you like to do that?
I'm looking into nursing, so
Okay,
looking for-
awesome.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Would you like to share what your passion
So,
is?
I wanted to do nursing too as well.
Okay.
I'd say kind of the same thing. I have like a smaller friend group, so I just like spending quality time with them. I like to travel a lot. I like cutting things. Not really into it.
So quality time, relationships,
Yeah.
traveling.
Great. Thank you.
Emily, would you like to go first?
Oh,
Oh, are you going the other way?
it's okay.
All right.
You can go ahead.
Snaking back around.
I think just, like what she said, just any way possible that can make people smile. I do volunteer for hospice, so I go and visit older people and I love just making them smile. And I just got done counseling for a week at a camp and I'll be going back next week. So I love making the younger kids smile. But I think I also like, I'm looking into physical therapy, and that's just my dream job, to do pediatric physical therapy. Making them stronger and just giving a little, like just kids their life back almost. But I don't mean it in that way that I don't know, I don't mean that in an offensive way,
No.
but helping them do the everyday things that we always do.
Kind of like things that we get to take for granted a lot of the time.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd say I'm really passionate about like music and worship. I think it's a fantastic way to just really connect with God on like a more intimate level and something that strikes me.
I really love to make a difference in people's lives, and my mom and I are involved in foster care, so I mean, I absolutely love it.
When you say a difference in people's life, what do you mean?
I mean, like, if they're going through a hard time and they really don't have anyone there, I like to be there for them.
Okay.
Or like open new ways for them to see things, and just having someone there.
Great. Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Thank you all for sharing. Brittany, can you? T.D. Jakes said that if you can figure out your purpose and figure out your passions, for your passions will lead you right into your purpose. Those passions that you mentioned are not going to necessarily tell you what you're going to do for the rest of your life, or what major, what career you're going into, or anything like that. But it will definitely inform and enhance what you are going to do for the rest of your life. So it is very important to take a look at yourself, to take a look at what do you like, because there is a reason why God put that in you. I can tell you about my daughter, who is a sophomore in high school. Wow, she's going to be a junior, Jesus. She is, I asked her, what's your passion? Like, I gave her the presentation, I gave it to her, and she told me that she liked watching cartoons and superheroes, Arrow, Flash, stuff like that. I'm like, well, maybe you can become a writer and create your own superheroes. She's like, but I do not like writing. I'm like, oh my God, what can you do with superheroes? What, can you tell me another passion? Well, I asked her, what do you like about superheroes? What is it that you like about it? She told me, well, I like that they use their superpowers to help people who are in trouble and bring them to safety. And I'm like, huh. So, long conversation, she decided that she wants to get into psychology because she wants to help people, bring people out from trouble into safety. So if you see, like, if you look at your passions, they can kind of guide you and tell you exactly the core of who you are and what God has called you to do and be. But we'll talk about that later.
So, how many of you guys have been asked already, just by show of hands, what you want to major in? Okay. Everybody, this is probably just, future, just little like hint here. You're gonna get this question hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. We've joked around about making t-shirts even now of like, hi, like my name is Brittany, this is what I major in, this is what school I went to. So know that question's coming a lot. It's a very, very common one. And I know that you guys, some of you had kind of mentioned a couple majors. I know we got a couple nursing up here. Physical therapy is kind of what you're thinking of. How about you guys? What kind of majors are you thinking?
Elementary education.
Okay.
I don't know, yeah, I'd like to do something music related. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's gonna be like education or ministry or whatever that's gonna look like it, but yeah, just gonna related to that.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like most of you have known for a really long time what you wanted to do? Or some of you kind of still thinking about it, working on it, maybe have some ideas? Okay. I know for me, I didn't even realize kind of coming in, how many different majors there were. Has anyone asked you guys what careers you want to go into? Did I show hands? Just a couple? All right, fewer hands. Fewer people get asked what kind of careers they want to go into. Sometimes it's kind of funny to even think that there are so many multiple career options even in one given major. So even if you want to go into something like nursing or physical therapy, even the demographic of people that you're going to work with, whether that is what unit on the hospital, or even kind of for you, like working with pediatrics or geriatrics, what kind of people. You could be in the States, you could be overseas. There are so many, different paths that even, majors like that, which are a lot more career paths, that you can go. But even in something like, psychology, oh my goodness, there are so many different paths that you can go with that. And so for me, I know when I was sitting in kind of, your guys' shoes, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I came in and I was really nervous, feeling like I had to pick something. I'm like, all right, well, pre-med could be fun. Leadership sounds really interesting. Psychology, I feel like I could do. Communications, business. I literally was all over the board. And a lot of times that's how most people are. It takes you a little bit to figure out your niche, to be able to actually think through some of these questions of, who has God made you to be? What has He, called you to do? What are you passionate about? And so for me, what I decided to do is I decided to take a semester and come in pre-declared. So it's our version of undecided, if that makes sense. Which for us here is actually our second top program that freshmen come in with, behind nursing. So nursing is our biggest program across the board, but just as many almost students, and even more than that, actually come in without a major. Why? One thing that we do specifically and very intentionally is helping you guys take a step back for a minute, and rather than boxing yourself into something that you might be interested in, really figure out who God's made you to be. We have you sit through, kind of work through a class that really helps you figure out things that you value, really helps you decide on, directions and areas that might interest you. You take a bunch of different strengths assessments as well and kind of see, all right, I have certain giftings in certain areas, and how do I see those played out in my life? And, you'll start to kind of dig into all of that. And so that's what I did freshman year, and I decided, after my first semester, I had taken a couple gateway classes during that time, and really felt that psychology and leadership, those were the majors for me. And I felt really good about it because I was still right on track. I had a lot more clarity about who God had made me to be, and I was really, really confident and really enjoying what I was studying. But sometimes, this idea, I'm just going to pop this question up now because we'll talk about it. This idea of what God has called you to do with your life doesn't always come right away. That might not come within this next year and a half, 2 years while you guys are still in high school. It might not come in your first semester of college. It might take a little while. But that doesn't mean that God's not going to continue to help, you move one foot in front of the other towards whatever that is. So for me, if you would have asked me what I was passionate about when I was a senior in high school, I probably would have taken the cop-out answer and said softball. Okay, cool. This is something like a sport that I had played my entire life competitively. I really enjoyed playing the game. I loved being on a team. But one thing that I realized my senior year, I played for a very small Christian school outside of my club. So I actually that year got to be on a team with all underclassmen that had never played before because they were trying to build a program at our school. So for most people who are really good at something, it would be a very frustrating experience to play with people who have never picked up a bat before or thrown a ball before, right? That was actually one of my favorite years of playing the game because the girls that I got to play alongside of were actually girls that I was mentoring and a small group leader for outside and off the field. So I really kind of learned during that time like how much I loved coaching people, how much I loved mentoring people, and that was something that really continued into college. So for me, I decided to, have a clean slate once I came into college, put the bat and the glove down and actually focus on some other things. And so I did a career development internship when I was a junior and a senior, both years, and got to really work with people, helping them figure out what their strengths were and what they wanted to do, and working on resumes and cover letters and doing a little career coaching with them too. And it was during that time that it kind of dawned on me as I was working with some of my supervisors and learning how to help students really recognize what strengths they use in their life, that God had really started developing the things that I was good at way long before I had even realized it. And it kind of dawned on me too that I picked two of the broadest majors that we even offer here: leadership and psychology. What on earth are you going to do with those? Work with people? Yes. And so for me, I kind of had this wake up moment of, wow, like sometimes calling doesn't necessarily come in the form of a major. Calling for me really came into this understanding that regardless of what career I was in, regardless of what job I had, regardless of what people I was interacting with, this idea of helping them get from point A to point B, helping them see their value and the strengths and the potential that they have, that's my calling. That's something I want to do, and that's something, thankfully, that I get to do every day with students. And so, as you kind of think about, this question here, I would really challenge you, as you're going into your senior year or your junior year, be asking yourself, what is it that God has called you to do? Because your answer might actually look a little bit deeper than a major. And here we believe that each one of you guys has a life calling and has purpose. And so if we can help kind of draw that out from you so that you can go out and actually really develop that and use that, that's really kind of, like I said, like what our heart and purpose is here at IWU. So, like I said, be thinking about these things. I know we're throwing lots of questions and lots of, things that, you may have never been asked. Has anyone been asked this before? Yeah. I wish that someone would have asked me that in high school.
Yeah. Would have helped a lot.
Yeah, it changes sometimes the direction you want to go with your life and kind of the purpose and meaning behind, even going to college. Rather than it just being something that everybody does, using it as somewhere to get you to where God wants you to go.
One of my favorite things about the school is that we have the School of Life Calling on campus, and they can actually help you figure out who is it that God called you to be. We understand that you are the expert of your own life. God has given you talents and strengths. We're just here to equip you and help you discover that and develop those things. We have the pre-declare class that semester that Brittany talked about. We can actually help you through different assessments, figure out what does that look like for you, so that you can build upon that and get going and be successful, not just with just a college degree, with like a piece of paper, but with actually knowing who you are supposed to be for the rest of your life while you're here. That's one of my favorite things. I went to college when I graduated high school because that's what you're supposed to do and what the expectation was, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do or what strengths I had. If I would have had that guidance then, I would have saved so much time and so much money. It took me 7 years to get a 4-year degree because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So that's a powerful thing.
All right, guys, so back to that question. What is your passion? What's wants to go ahead and start this? Want to go the opposite direction now? Maybe
Yeah, I'm
start
pretty
with
sure Miss
Mallory?
Mallory wants to go first. I saw her hand go up.
Uh-huh, yeah, she was pretty excited about that.
No, I like helping people, and so like, kind of like where like I want to major in nursing or
Nice.
go to like good medical schools.
Yep.
Yeah.
Miss Anna? Not yet. We're gonna let all the students answer, and then I want to see if parents come through and add or supplement to what the students said. Because sometimes students completely overlook something that their parents obviously see inside of them. So we'll get back to you, Miss. Miss Anna? Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely love to dance.
What
If
kind
you
of
were
dance
given
do you
like,
do? Any kind?
are you like really good at it?
Okay. What are kind of your favorites? Ballet?
Nice. Miss Rachel?
Probably children and animals.
Okay.
Like at the same time, so like petting zoos.
We should have a group full of children and kids, she probably.
You'd just be so thrilled, wouldn't you?
Children, animals. Do you guys own any animals?
Yeah.
What animals?
Thank you for asking me if I didn't own any children. I did for you though.
Yes. Thanks. Yeah, what animals do you guys own?
We have 5 cats and 1 dog.
Oh my word. It's a lot of kids.
Outside strays that we feed.
Yes.
I'm gonna live where she's living.
You like animals too? Good deal. Alrighty, so parents, yeah, do you guys have things to add for your students?
Or were they pretty close?
Go ahead.
I would add that she likes to help people. I would say that where I see Mallory light up the most is around the children.
Yeah.
Sir, did Anna get it right? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I
it's okay,
apologize.
she's just so even keel, but kids, she
Yeah.
lights up.
Yeah.
Well, I like to help people too. And the more important is family. We put the family together.
Yeah.
You never know when you're gonna need somebody that will support you. And the more important thing in my life is stay together.
Yeah.
Sir?
But in the meantime, I help people who know color, race, whatever. I help them. No,
Oh, I know. I like knowing about parents
My
too,
dad, but
you know?
a bit about her. I know she likes dancing, but she kind of. Sometimes I was worried about her. She works one day, she wanted to be, so like the next day, like be with the animals, 100%.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. And that is okay too, like you can see your, you have a lot of different things that maybe are exciting to you and passions, and sometimes they can all feed into, what you end up doing with your life. And sometimes they can just be something that maybe it's not what you do for a career, but it's something that you always have to have in your life that's a priority for you. And I think that's something that I've kind of distinguished as I even have graduated from college and seen that.
I'm more passionate about animals than this. I'm taking real close to the little animals. You cry for
Kids
them.
too.
They're babies.
Alright, and what about Rachel's? Have anything to add?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close.
Yeah.
She's kind of like me. I'm 44 and don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I think she's going to be that way too. She doesn't really know, but she knows that she does do,
Yeah.
she loves working with the kids in the mission stuff, so she's got to try and figure out how to channel that into a career path of some sort.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we're all kind of in that stage all the time, like trying to figure out, what we're about, always evaluating what we're
Well,
supposed to be doing
her dad and
next.
I are both artists, so it's just kind of a free, kind
Yeah.
of wandery kind of family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get that, absolutely.
Cool. Well, I have a quote for you. You want to slide in really quickly? Awesome. This may be my absolute favorite quote ever. This is Pastor T.D. Jakes, and he said, if you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passions. For your passions are going to lead you right into your purpose. So, you guys just gave Cassidy and I a list of the things that you're passionate about. from helping people to dance/kids/animals to kids/animals/maybe dancing. Okay? You just gave us all of that. And we love hearing that stuff. But on campus, like what I like to do is I actually pull out that word purpose and insert the word life calling. So if you can't figure out your life calling, figure out your passions. For your passions will lead you to your life calling. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. This concept of life calling is something that's really cool on our campus that we've kind of just in the past couple of years really started to expand and explore in really cool, fun ways that I don't know if a lot of other schools are doing. So we'll talk about that in a second. You want to hit me again? I've got some questions for you, okay? These are like your first tests of college, okay? Now, this first one's for students, second one's for parents. Parents, so prep yourselves, okay? By a show of hands, students, how many of you have ever been asked, what do you want to major in? Okay, that was an easy one, okay? Now that you have been asked that obligatory question, what do you want to major in? Ms. Mallory?
Nursing or
Okay, Anna?
nursing or criminal justice.
Okay, Ms. Rachel? Not sure yet. That's okay. That's okay. Now, parents, what majors do you think your daughters would be best at? Do you think they kind of nailed it on the head? Or, ma'am, do you see something inside Miss Rachel that you think she'd do really well at?
I don't know. There's so many things. It's just
Yeah.
going to be really hard to try and figure it out, you know, where she wants to be. And I keep just telling her, I don't care if you keep changing your mind, just keep changing your mind until you figure it out. I don't really care. I just want her to find that thing and not spend the rest of her life miserable, stuck in something that she felt like she made a mistake and then didn't switch. So, I don't know. We'll see what, I'm just willing to just wait and see what happens with her.
First time to figure it out.
Yeah.
Sir, did Anna get it about right?
Yes, because she is not kind of person that like to sit down and do things that we see like to get hands on
Okay.
with things. Get busy.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
She will be good at that.
Ma'am?
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if, I always thought she'd be a teacher, but now that she's saying that she wants to do nursing or physician, I would.
Yeah.
About right.
You'd see that? Okay. So guys, how many of you have ever thought about or have you ever been asked, what do you want to do as a career? If that question's a little different, if you guys ever thought about that before, give me a hand.
Or what you want to be when you grow up.
When you
That's
grow
kind of, I feel
up.
like, a typical.
Okay,
Or
again,
typical
that's a
question.
common question. You guys are doing well, you're 2 for 2 right now, okay? Final question. Dramatic effect. How many of you have ever been asked, what has God called you to do with your lives? You guys ever been asked that before? This question here is unbelievably uncommon, something that we want to make extremely common. This is what we want our students to be able to say, like, yes, like, same automatic hand raise as the majors. Like, I know what the Lord called me to do with my life. I know it. That's what we're trying to do on this campus, okay? The fun thing is, like I just mentioned, we have that Life Calling and Career Center. That part I just talked about a little bit ago with that T.D. Jakes quote that Cassie's going to talk about. Everything from your freshman year experience classes to examining your strengths and your skills, all the way to career services. So do you want to talk about that a little bit, Cass?
So when I came in my freshman year, I was definitely in a place where you are, Rachel, of like, I, don't really know exactly what I want to do. But I thought that I had to choose a major. So I thought, okay, I have to decide on one, so I should just pick one and then we'll go from there. And so in high school, I was good at math, and people told me, oh, you can teach it. So I said, okay, that's what I'll do. I'll do math education. So I started out in that, did that for my first semester of freshman year, and really it was not a good fit for me. Math was okay, but I kind of just felt like this isn't energizing to me. It's not what makes me light up. Like, I love that you use that term of like, you can see her light up when she's around kids. And it really didn't do that for me. It was more people for me. And so, but I didn't really know how that would necessarily fit. So in order to kind of explore that, I ended up deciding not to have a major. And so here we have a program called our Life Calling program. And students actually do a major called Pre-Declared. And our Pre-Declared major Our freshmen, when they come in, they select a major. It's actually our second largest major that freshmen coming in pick after nursing. So a lot of our students, like, you are not alone in not exactly being sure what you want to do. Definitely, it's a common thing to not know when you're, 17, 18 years old, what you want to do for the rest of your life. And so my second semester freshman year went through our Life Calling program. So part of that program is you take a class called Intro to Life Calling. And through that, you take a variety of different assessments that talk about your personality, your different strengths that God has given you. We do one called Image that evaluates your strengths and kind of pairs that with careers. So you kind of do this combination of evaluating just kind of yourself and, looking at what God has gifted you in, and then kind of seeing where that fits with different career paths. So for me, I ended up kind of thinking of a career first and then picked a major that kind of got me there. So I really would love to be a marriage and family therapist. That's kind of my end goal with that, still kind of working towards where that's going to fit in my life, because it does require a master's. But with that, I decided to study psychology. So that's kind of how I ended up on a very different track from math education. But with psychology, like, I've been able to use those skills that I learned there in this job, so effectively, just in learning about active listening and hearing you guys and listening, to what you guys talk about. And I think it's interesting hearing you, is it Marla? Marlo, okay. Marlo's hearing you talk about maybe seeing Mallory doing teaching. I think it's interesting to kind of pick out those different strengths, and maybe they won't necessarily manifest themselves in a specific career, but I think, you could be good at teaching people how to take care of themselves and teaching health. I think of, like, Alex went to school for teaching. Right now, he's not a teacher, but he is always teaching us how to, like, do things on our computers, or, like, I'm like, Alex, I don't know how to do this, and he's very patient at teaching us how to do things. And so I think it's cool to see the way that God uses, whatever gifts that we have, maybe not always in the way that we think that they'll be used, but still in a really awesome way. So I think kind of being aware of that, I think, is good and thinking about that. But back to the pre-declared program, part of that is life coaching. So you get to meet with a certified life coach as part of that program. Students that aren't in the program can do life coaching for free as well. So even if you were to start into a program and want to kind of have that self-awareness and have that during your freshman year or even throughout your years of school, you can do that for free as a student. So my life coach was really, really helpful in just helping me to evaluate those different assessments that we went through, so I wasn't having to just kind of read through it and figure it out on my own. He really helped me to figure out kind of what those different things meant. And mainly, it wasn't about, looking at those things and then him making a decision and saying, oh, you'd be really good at this, this is what you should do. It was way more about, like, asking these life-changing questions, asking these good questions, and helping me to evaluate those assessments, evaluate what I knew about myself, what, trusted family and friends told me about myself, and what God tells me about myself, and then how that fit into a major and a career and come past that. So throughout school, the Life Calling office also offers services more on the career side of things. So farther on, when you're more set in your major, but then you're evaluating, okay, what kind of population do I want to work with, what age group, what type of career, like within nursing, do I want to work in a hospital? Do I want to work in maybe like a doctor's office? Do I want to, work overseas? Like, where do I want to work? What kind of setting? And kind of evaluating, those different things. So we have career coaching as well for kind of that side of things. We also offer resume building, like helping you build your resume, evaluate that. We do mock interviews as well, so you can practice your interview skills. And also they actually have spaces up there where you can do interviews too. If you were to do like a Skype interview or something, you can have a professional space to use rather than, sitting in your dorm room with your, messy bed and clothes everywhere behind you. So they have a lot of different services that help our students just to, feel that they know kind of, that they have those resources, that they have someone older, wiser, to kind of help them to evaluate those different assessments and evaluate kind of where they're going.